Right now, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are cooking. Not only were they able to pick up Sky Moore for essentially nothing, recently they picked up Brian Robinson, the fourth-year back, for just a sixth-round pick. Not only does this re-solidify San Francisco's backfield that's really been decimated with injuries with players like Patrick Taylor Jr., Corey Kiner, Jordan James, and Isaac Rindo all dealing with injuries this offseason, it also gives San Francisco insurance if Christian McCaffrey comes back and looks like a different player. So in this video, I wanted to go over the fourth-year back in Brian Robinson, who's coming off a career year in which he rushed for 799 yards and 8 touchdowns and also added 159 yards through the air. To do this, we'll examine his most recent year's film, examine his strengths, his weaknesses, as well as his fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense and career up to this point to fully understand what San Francisco is getting headed into the season. While Robinson has a lot of nice parts to his game, the area in which he really stands out to me and the area in which I think he's going to be heavily utilized this season in Kyle Shanahan's offense is as a true power back. Not only does he come in at 6'2", weighing 225 pounds, he plays that way. To really illustrate this point, on this little fake jet sweep, with Robinson getting the inside handoff, first, he actually meets 93 in the hole, but somehow is able to break his tackle, and because of his insane change of direction and vision on this play, he's actually able to bounce it outside on this defense. Then he shows you're going to have to bring a lot more than an arm tackle, and even though he's not the fastest back, he will hurt you if he does get in open space like he does here. Another thing I love about Robinson as a power back is just how great he is at reading lanes. Here on this little read option, for instance, he realizes his tight end is pulling across the offensive line and needs to block 56. So rather than just running through this open lane and not giving his tight end a chance, he shoots outside, comes back on this little jump cut, and that move allows his tight end to get up to the second level. Then with him meeting 57 in the hole, I just love how he has an uncanny ability to break all of these little arm tackles. And like a true power back, when the play seems over and there's multiple tacklers on him, he'll routinely drag them for an additional couple of yards, which not only helps out the play caller on the following play, I think this really wears on the team as the game goes. And while so far I've mainly been focusing on Robinson as just a pure power back for San Francisco, the fact is I believe he's one of the more complete backs San Francisco has had in Shanahan's era. To really illustrate this, on this play, the Commanders are running a counter with Robinson, and first, I love how hard Robinson is pressing this inside lane, which gives his guard enough time to actually block this defensive tackle shooting up the field quickly. Then he does an excellent job of identifying the defensive end in the backfield, linking together 2 jump cuts, breaking his tackle, and once in the open field, he's not just looking to truck people, but uses his understanding of angles to get the maximum amount of yards on this play. I love how aggressive he is, hitting him with a stiff arm at the end. Another underappreciated part of Robinson's game, in my opinion, is his ability to fit through really small gaps in the offensive line, mainly due to his footwork. Here, for example, with little room to operate, he does a nice job of identifying just enough daylight to jump through this offensive line actually, and I love how he's always looking to punish players like Jason Pinnock on this play. Like I was touching on earlier as well, he's excellent at setting up his running lanes. Here on this little counter, once again for instance, he quickly identifies 56 as the linebacker he has to beat, and he has 2 lanes to really draw him into. So he shoots this inside lane, and once 56 does commit there, Robinson quickly shoots outside, and before you know it, he's racing down the field. In a similar way on this zone run, I really like how Robinson is setting up this run. First, he presses his outside gap, which gets his linebacker flowing that direction, and at the last second, he cuts back hard towards the teeth of this defense, which allows him to pick up a pretty sizable gain. In a similar way here going against the Eagles, Robinson is running a read option play. He presses his outside gap, quickly changes his direction, breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, and nearly finds his way all the way down the field for a touchdown on this play. Robinson will be special for San Francisco this year. This is especially the case when you consider the variety of ways Kyle Shanahan can use him, because while so far I've mainly been focusing on him as a traditional running back, he can also line up as a slot wide receiver. Here going against the Buccaneers, for example, running a little simple drag pattern, he does a nice job of catching this while running, breaking his first tackle, and I love him in open space. He just has a great understanding of angles and how to break tackles, and he nearly gets the touchdown on this play. In a similar way on this play, Robinson is once again lined up as a slot wide receiver bunched up on the offensive line, and he's running a delayed out, and with the quarterback targeting him, he does a nice job of bringing it in, and I love his ability in the open space like I've already mentioned. And while it's great to have one receiving back on your team, imagine Robinson and Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time. You could fake to Christian McCaffrey, then dump it off to Robinson, or you could fake to Robinson and dump it off to Christian McCaffrey. I think this creativity and flexibility on your offense could make it so San Francisco's rushing game is one of the most impressive in Kyle Shanahan's era. It's also worth noting that San Francisco is without several of their wide receivers headed into the season, so Robinson could fill a role there if necessary, especially as a slot option. As excited as I am for Robinson entering Kyle Shanahan's offense though, there are some clear weaknesses to his game, with one of the most notable being his overall speed. He only ran his 40-yard dash in 4.52 seconds, so sometimes you will see defenders chasing him down. Robinson also runs upright a lot of the times, which will expose him to injuries, especially considering the fact that now he is 26 entering his 4th year in the league. Even with these concerns though, when I turn on Robinson's film, I see a perfect back for Kyle Shanahan's system. And if everyone's healthy this year, he'll be a perfect rotational piece. Christian McCaffrey's the elusive back, the receiving back, Isaac Rindo's the speedster, and now they have their power back in Brian Robinson. But to truly understand the player that is Brian Robinson, I did want to briefly break down his career up to this point because it is pretty interesting. When we were first introduced to Robinson, for instance, he was playing his football at Hillcrest High School in Alabama. And as a senior, he rushed for 990 yards and 18 touchdowns. This senior season was good enough for Robinson to be ranked as a 4-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports, and he had offers from Alabama, Auburn, Cincinnati, Georgia, and Jacksonville State, with him ultimately deciding to enroll at Alabama. And while Robinson was an extremely talented player, when he went to Alabama, he was splitting time with Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris, so it did take him a couple of years to catch on, with his best year by far being his senior year in 2021. That year, for instance, he was an all-SEC player after playing in 14 games and rushing for 1,343 yards and adding nearly 300 more yards through the air. And overall, during his 5-year Alabama career, he played in 55 games, rushed for 2,704 yards, had 29 touchdowns on the ground, and also added 446 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns there. Robinson then decided to enter the 2022 NFL Draft, and at the Combine, he came in at 6'2", weighing 225 pounds. He ran his 40-yard dash in 4.53 seconds and his 10-yard split in 1.59 seconds. And with the Washington Commanders sitting there in round 3 with pick 34 and seeing a back that was extremely powerful, they drafted Brian Robinson, and it proved to be an excellent choice. In just 3 seasons, for example, from 2022 to 2024, he was able to amass 2,319 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns on the ground, and he also added 581 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns there. And maybe most importantly for San Francisco, his best year running the ball came last year, where he had 799 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. So headed forward, I think Kyle Shanahan found himself his next true power back in Brian Robinson. But now, I want to hear your thoughts about him as a player. It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video to go ahead and like and subscribe. It truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.